My involvement in the Manchester music scene, which is a big part of the Manchester culture bunker, goes all the way back, I suppose, to going to school with John Marr, who ended up being the drummer with Buzzcocks, and buying a copy of Spiral Scratch when it came out. And I actually first bumped into the legendary Tony Wilson in 1977 at a St Alphonsus Church parish dance, where him and his wife Lindsay Reed were turning up all dressed in leathers to do the raffle for Father McMahon. And I pestered Tony at the time to put more reggae on his groundbreaking show, So It Goes. Now, when I ended up 4 years later actually working on the radio myself, I thought, well, how do you do a radio show? And I thought, well, what did Tony Wilson do on the TV? Well, he put local bands on television. So I started putting local bands, when I was working for the BBC in Derby, on radio. And from then, I always followed the Manchester music scene until in 1988, when I started working at Key 103 in Manchester, 6 till 9 every evening and 2 till 5 on Sunday afternoons. I had this massive scene to reflect. I had 100% free choice on my radio show, so I could play bands like the Stone Roses every night, the Happy Mondays and Spiral Carpets, look back on the history of Manchester, playing stuff like New Order, Joy Division, James, you name it, I could play it. Now, because of that, Manchester became very hip, and I then got offered my own national TV show, which became, well, based on the page that I wrote in the Manchester Evening News called The Word, became known as The Word, a now famous show. Now, one of the things I did on The Word, that put something back, the Tony Wilson philosophy. So I tried to get as many Manchester bands on that national TV show as I could, much to the annoyance of Sebastian, Tarquin, Quentin, Tristram, Rupert, etc., on the London music scene and working at Channel 4. Now, the bands that I was lucky enough to get onto The Word were the Charlatans, who we had on several times, World of Twist, James, the Spiral Carpets, Happy Mondays several times, Marion, Eskimos in Egypt, Sub, Ain't No Event, Ain't No Use. What a great track. MC Busby, 808 State, who even did the theme music of The Word, Interstellar, who were a bit unlucky to be on the same edition of The Word as Nirvana doing Smells Like Teen Spirit, so maybe it didn't do them any good. MC Tunes, The Caliphs, a great rap band, Loveland, huge dance band, Jar Wobble, an honorary Mancunian because he'd been living in Stockport for years, and then of course this band, Oasis. And I can tell you, to get Oasis on was the most difficult out of all those bands because they hadn't had any press at all at the time other than one bad live review. And the pressure was on me because I knew them personally, and my ex-girlfriend was their radio and their TV plugger at the time. So I was getting, and Noel Gallagher's girlfriend, Louise Jones, actually worked for my girlfriend. So I was getting pestered to get them on. I'd been to see them live. I didn't think they were that good, but then the reports I was getting at the time was they're fantastic. So for me to get them on The Word involved 8 weeks of arguing with Sebastian, Tristram, Quentin, Tarquin and Rupert. And it was very, very difficult because the problem with that show was we already had a band called the Caliphs, who were from Manchester, booked on it. And what they said to me was, Terry, we can't have two bands from Manchester on the same show. I just said, what, you mean you wouldn't have two bands from New York on the show? Two bands from LA, or even two bands from London? Yeah, and London, after all, hadn't had a music scene at the time since punk in 1976. In the end, we managed to get Oasis on. They did this, it was groundbreaking. We had them on 3 weeks before it was officially released, which was another big no-no. Normally we'd have a band on the day before the record came out. So this is Oasis from March 1984, their national TV debut. Liam looks fantastic, the band sound amazing, and this is Supersonic on The Word.